Mickey is quite electrifying, and Smitty had his smashing moment. Stay tuned as we discuss Ray Donovan, Season 7, Episode 5.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Goodwin, and we've got our amazing panel.
Oh yeah.
Louisa.
Hey, I'm back.
And Erika.
What's up, party people?
So today we're discussing Season 7, Episode 5, an Irish Lullaby. Erika, what were your overall thoughts?
I really liked it. I enjoyed this episode. It moved pretty quickly. There was a lot of little, pieces going on, but I liked it a lot.
Me too. Adding to that, a lot of character development tactics here and there. We kind of got a deep sense of Ray kind of trying to move forward with his life, so I was happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
So before we dive in, I just also want to let you guys know to stick through until the end. We're going to have our news segment, our weird crime segment, and our predictions.
Yep.
So let's dive right in and talk about Ray and Terry, because we had this whole thing with Coney Island, and they had a bonding moment, and I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool to kind of see Ray kind of reaching out to take care of Terry, even, in his sort of time of need, and then kind of taking this sort of field trip together. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm so happy with that, and I'm happy that Ray followed up with Terry. I think it's been maybe a few days or a few weeks he hasn't even seen him, because, Terry has been so MIA with his yoga retreat and all of this rebirth. Yeah. So finally he calls him up, checks up on him. There's no food, there's nothing, and then they go on the roller coaster. They're like, they're laughing, they're screaming, and then finally Terry says, if I die, I want you to do that. Or, you know what I mean? It was deep. It was a deep day.
And that's what I really got out of this, is that not only, so from the moment that Ray walks into Terry's apartment, I saw it through Ray's eyes, like he knew that maybe Terry didn't have a lot longer to live, and I almost started seeing it like Ray was legitimately worried that his brother wouldn't be around. And then they had that conversation that really, it was super emotional, where Terry said, if anything should happen to me where I am just not living my fullest life anymore, like, you need to just let them pull the plug.
I kind of sensed that too, because when he was watching him sleep for a few seconds, I'm like, did Terry die? Like, it was weird the way he was singing that lullaby, and then he kind of slept. And then, they had the conversation where Abby went out on her own terms, where she took the drugs and that's how she wanted to die, which is maybe something Terry is thinking, because he's just so sick of the medication, TMI, but his whatever doesn't work properly anymore, like he doesn't get hard anymore.
Yeah.
So, or all of that. So that's just hard.
Or not really hard. No pun intended. Or lack of hardness. That is the problem.
I was trying to find a word to replace DICK. I couldn't find it. Was it John? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
His male part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's hard. That's struggle.
Yeah. Eric, I felt like you had something to say.
No, I mean, I think that it was interesting kind of the way that it was written, and because really I think what triggered Ray was really his therapist, and the fact that he said, okay, there's going to come a time where I'm not going to be able to, and that's when Ray really, I think it really hit him about what Terry was going through. So that was kind of interesting, that sort of transition. And their discussions also about therapy and Terry being like, I don't need it, And so, I thought that was a really interesting sort of moment for both of them to kind of, try to at least get through some of that pain that they had from their sister's death as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the fact that Ray has evolved so much as a human to even introduce therapy to Terry and say, go see him. He has the same condition you have. Maybe he'll offer you some kind of insight. And then Terry's like, what do you even talk to him about? Which is so funny. But yeah, right? Like, what are you guys talking about? And then finally Terry opened up and said the day Bridget tried to kill herself or jump off the bridge, or she did something like that, I remember, this is what we did in the morning. We had eggs. So it's like maybe he will start opening up.
And that's what I really enjoyed about this, is we didn't get a lot of this from Ray, but from Terry, he really opened up. Not only did he talk about Bridget, but he mentioned going to the retreat a little bit and going on ayahuasca and what it was like and how he thought he was having visions.
Yeah.
And right when they hit the deer, though, that moment really sticks out in my mind because it's like I feel like Terry saw himself in the animal and was essentially saying, this is the pain that I'm going through. You please just put the poor animal out of its misery.
You're so good, Rachel.
And that's kind of what I was thinking is that it was very like metaphorical in the sense that I felt like Terry felt this kindred spirit.
You are so dead on, literally. Like, get the gun, shoot the deer, let her die peacefully because she is in pain. Same thing. I'm telling you, same thing with Terry.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because it feels like Terry. We saw him put the rocks in his pockets the other episode,
Which is kind of funny. I'm sorry, that was funny.
It is, but like at the same time, it's tragic, and he just clearly. His just watching him go through everything, I feel like he's just done, regardless of his. I mean, he's sick of being in this place. Like, we talked last week too about it goes beyond whether he's shaking or not shaking. He's just sick of being here.
Did we think the shaman could even help him though? No, right? That's all like voodoo stuff.
I mean,
right?
I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see if. Again, if they're all the way out of it, or because I still feel like there might be some more changes in Terry. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's interesting too because the way they're portraying the shaman is not. I mean, for all I know, there could be something like that out there.
Yeah.
But in reality, from what I've seen, like in LA, it doesn't work like that. And so I think that if he was really going to get help from an energy healer, it might be better for him than what he's experiencing. But at the same time, I just think if you're done, you're done.
No, I get that, and it's kind of like woohoo stuff, because he said something like, "You're still, the world is shaking." It's kind of like it's cheesy, and I hope it is real. He can help him with that medication, but
but I think I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, I think fundamentally that. If it helps him, then it's obviously going to change him on another level. So, if it helps him stop shaking, but he's, he turns into this different person that nobody can stand or, whatever. However he changes, if he is helped, then it's probably, you don't get something without giving up something. So I think that'll be how the story balances out if the storyline continues as far as the shaman is concerned.
And that's kind of what I thought they were trying to get at when Ray first went to see Terry, when we saw that Terry was just kind of lying there and that he was looking up blankly. Like, I thought they were trying to say that the ayahuasca had permanently changed him mentally. And that he was already, like, I was very worried about that, having that kind of effect on him. But obviously we saw him interact with Ray. It hasn't seemed to mentally have changed anything or physically. So it's just, but I with everything going on with Ray and the therapy, I'm wondering if Terry actually will go. Do you guys think that Terry will go to therapy?
Maybe his influence just a bit, because Ray has been really trying to do the right thing these past few weeks. And even with the intimacy issue that he's kind of having with Molly, he's trying to leave in the morning, kind of like how the old Ray would do. And then Molly's calling him out, like, you're not the only one who has intimacy issues. I do too. So I think maybe when Terry sees that, wow, Ray was actually smiling in the car when this girl called him, right? So Terry noticed that. He lit up, so maybe Terry might consider it. So I hope he does.
Yeah, I think it depends on if Terry decides to move in with them and with Ray and Bunchy, and then, you know what I'm saying? So if they have that sort of community, then I think he might be more likely to go.
I hope
if he stays where he is, I think he won't.
Yeah.
So I think it sort of depends on that, because I think if he goes there and they kind of are all trying to halfway heal each other or whatever, I think he'd be more likely to go in those circumstances.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
For sure.
I agree with that too. Now, let's switch gear here. But before we do, I just want to give a big shout out to every fan who's watching the show, whether it's live or after the fact. And thank you for allowing us to grow and be the ESPN of TV Talk.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah. And just want to let you know, too, that anytime you like or follow or subscribe or give us 5 stars on iTunes, you are absolutely helping us grow. So thank you again for being such a huge part of what we do and for supporting supporting us the way that you always do.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
let's talk about a smashing moment.
Man, Smitty.
Yeah.
Took it home with that.
Okay,
Smitty.
I'm just gonna jump. We'll talk about it, but like I did not expect him. Like, so obviously Bridget comes clean about the affair and actually says that she just kind of wants to let it go and says it won't happen again. But to me, I did not expect his reaction to be what it was.
Why did she tell him? Do I not have morals? I'm so bad. Like, what do you think? You think she should have just forgotten it? It was like a slip up, whatever. Like,
No, I think she should. I mean, I think she did the right thing. In telling
really?
him.
You okay?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't do that? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm saying that I think she. I mean, because it's different. Like, I think, to be honest, I think that this is what she wanted. That's why she told him. So, I think she got what she wanted because I think she wanted him to man up. And even when he started crying and stuff, I mean, maybe she didn't want him to like go beat the guy up or whatever, but she wanted to see something in him. I think that's why she told him.
Yeah.
And that's why she was like, yell at me, do something, don't cry. Like, I think she was like, well, maybe he'll be so jealous. I'll see that fire in him that I'm looking for. And I think she finally has.
But let me just say something. Little girls, or even like little boys, like when we grow up, they always say you either date someone like your mom or your dad. Not always, but it's said. Or we're looking for our father figure or your mother figure. I think Bridget's so used to seeing a masculine man all her life growing up. So maybe she sees that Smitty's not like that. So she's just not turned on with him anymore.
Yeah.
That's why she's like, what are you going to do? You're just going to cry? Like, stop crying. And
Yeah.
one more thing, this is a guy who just, recovered from cancer. Like, why are you putting him back there mentally? Like, you're such a bitch.
What pissed me off
Ugh.
is that she just told him some terrible news. He's allowed to cry. Like,
Poor
come
guy.
on. Like, let the poor man
And he
cry.
hasn't gotten laid for how many months, Bridget?
He doesn't know. Like, he's so trusting of her. And
Right.
and you would have been, like, going back to, season 6. Like, they seem like a couple who told each other things. But now she just shattered his world and his trust. And she's like, that's what kind of annoyed me is that I feel like, so what confused me is that she went to him and said, it will never happen again, but I want to tell you. And just the way that she would do it, I'm not sure that I agree with how she did it. Not that she shouldn't have told him. I think that was the right thing. But just saying, just her level of emotion that
she
brought
did not
to the table.
care when she told him. Like, she was clearly like, look, it's not going to happen again. Let's go do lunch or whatever. And so that was like really her whole attitude. And then when he started crying, it's like, then she got mad. And I'm like, you're the one who cheated.
Yeah.
And now you're walking out. So I totally agree with you. I think that her approach, I don't think she really...
Yeah.
She didn't really think he was going to... She wanted that, I think, for sure. But I don't think she really thought she was going to get it. I don't think she really cared. I think, either she wanted him to kind of man up and so she could see something that she liked or give him an excuse to leave. But she just didn't really... she just really didn't care. And certainly when he started crying, she was really like, okay, I'm done. I know I said it wouldn't go happen again, but I'm going to go sleep with him right now because you're irritating me. So that was kind of like her attitude. She was like, if you can't grow up hair, then I'm just going to go get me somebody. I'm leaving right now. Right. And so I just found it just very like kind of cold-hearted. And it's like, first of all, I get what you want or what you may be accustomed to or what you grew up with or whatever, but you knew who he was when you decided to get married. So, to now act like, okay, I want you suddenly to change is kind of expecting a lot.
But here's the thing, Bridget. Like, be true to yourself. I know you don't want to be married. You're not in love with him anymore. You're going through your whole, like, female hormones as a woman. You're, like, 22. Let's get real. Divorce him and just move on.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Like, Lord.
I think that it's just... I think they got married too quickly. We were even all, like, I remember last year, we were all saying this marriage should not happen.
Right.
Just because they're too young and, like, fine. Like, there are some people at 21, they know. But it just was so obvious she did not know. And now, like, I get it. If she wants to get a divorce, fine. But I'm with you, Erika. I think that she went into it with no emotion and that expecting him not to cry, expecting him not to care, and almost playing it off like, okay, I told you, so it's not a big deal, so let's just move on, and, blah, blah, blah. I'm just surprised that she didn't recognize, especially being with being in a family where the male was always cheating.
Yep.
Maybe that's it. Maybe she's used to all the times that Abby, like, eventually just had to, accept the way that Ray was.
But also, she married Smitty only because Smitty is part of Abby and her cancer struggle. So marrying Smitty is like a part of Abby she got. Kind of like that. So, which was wrong in the first place. And everyone knew that's why they were together. It was this weird dependency. So... that's why.
No, that makes sense too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's kind of what it is for her too, is this sense of maybe divorcing him is very difficult for her. And she just, because she has that attachment. This is the person who was there for her when she was grieving her mother.
Yep.
So that is a person who's going to be hard for her to let go of.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That makes sense.
So we had that whole scene where Smitty, so much easier to say Schmitty.
Yeah.
Smitty goes and literally, he goes with the bat, right? Because Adam calls, and he literally starts smashing the car, then starts smashing Adam.
That was...
I thought he was going to start bashing his head in. Like that.
That was some father-in-law stuff. You've learned that from Ray. Like, you went in.
Yeah. I thought that was
good for you, man.
Yeah, and good for him too. Like, and I love how he was like, she's my wife. And yeah, like shame on Bridget for cheating. Shame on Adam. Shame on Adam too. Like, not that it's necessarily his fault because he isn't the one in the relationship, but he does have some fault.
It's always two that plays that game. She was in it, he was in it, literally. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was, two to tango.
Great. Absolutely. And then, I think even, what kind of even put fuel on the fire was the fact that, like, when he called, he was kind of, like, talking to him like, oh, this idiot, like, what's your name? Smitty, like, so I knew, I was like, okay, that also probably set it off, because it's like, he didn't even call acting like he had any respect for him, and so it's like, okay, well, I'll show you. Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting, like, a really interesting scene in how they played it.
Mm-hmm. And it's going off of that, when Adam first called, it was basically like, hey, I need to talk to Ray, this is important business, and then he only talked to Smitty because he was the only one available. Right. So it's like that whole thing. Like, oh, I'm not man enough to be like Ray now. Like, that's like, yeah.
So that was really kind of an interesting
And one more thing just to add before we wrap up the Smitty thing, how Bridget wanted to have a day with him to go to the movies or just have fun, and then he's like, I can't, I'm at work or whatever, and then Bridget's like, well, should we call my dad to give a day off? And then Smitty's like, no. That just shows, like, the level of how much of a man he's not yet, you know?
Yeah.
It's just funny.
He's too scared to break the rules.
Well, see, I didn't take it that way. I didn't think he was scared to break the rules. I thought he was actually saying, like, if I'm starting to work here, I don't want my wife being like, oh, Dad, can we leave now? Because that is weak and crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if I want to take a day off, I'll take a day off. But to have, because I'm married to the boss's daughter and have her be like, okay, can he leave? Like, that's crazy too.
It's weak.
Yeah. So let's kind of segue here and talk about Mickey and the 77 Brinks heist, because we got a ton of story with them. Yeah. So what are you confused about?
Let's tell me, Rachel. Want to fill me in?
So I'm trying to remember. I mean, we're getting a lot of, Jim Sullivan again. We saw him more in season 1. I'm trying to remember if the Brinks heist was like the big heist that they had mentioned before, and if we're coming back to something that we'd already, discussed. If anyone wants to fill us in, if you're listening to this live or, otherwise, let us know. But I'm under the understanding that they had kind of hinted at this before, and it's not the first time they've brought this heist up.
So 1977, this took place. Basically, Mickey was supposed to have all this money. Yeah. And that Larry Malone guy did something where he wired the Jim Sullivan guy, right? So then all the money went to him. I don't know, something like that. Basically, it's like this war between both of them. So that's why, obviously, Sandy and Mickey went after the dude. And basically killed him.
And the whole thing, so O'Malley, right?
O'Malley. Yeah, O'Malley.
The whole thing with him is that Mickey's question when they finally got this guy, one, I think O'Malley, I don't think that he had Alzheimer's. I think that he was faking it.
Dementia, you mean?
Yeah. But then the other thing is that when they had O'Malley I get the feeling when O'Malley finally admitted, yeah, well, you had to be the fall guy because I had something on Sullivan.
Right.
Yeah. So I found that very interesting.
Okay.
And
the gold coin. What is that? Why is that there?
Well, no, I think what happened is they did this whole robbery.
Yeah.
And my understanding, I don't really recall from season 1, so, I would have to go back. But from what I gathered from at least these scenes is that Mickey was the one, because remember, Mickey ended up with anything, and he went into jail before he went to jail for Ray.
Yeah.
So I think he was the one who was the fall guy, but they never snitched, so he never told on the other people.
Yeah.
And I think what they did was the money, theoretically was never found, but now we come to find out that Sullivan had it, and that was probably the basis of his wealth. And now he's that was the basis of his company. So he probably either, I'm sure he gave the other couple guys something, but it looked like he had the most of it. And basically it was that, that same storyline that this was Mickey's inheritance, or this is what, he went to prison for and never received.
Yeah.
Fun trivia. Where do we remember Larry from? O'Malley. That
Larry O'Malley, they said, yeah.
Which movie? His face.
Oh, I don't know. Where?
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh,
so shout out to Mike Starr. That's his name.
Cool.
That's the one who kills the bird and pops the pills.
Well, I actually didn't even see that movie, but it sounds great.
Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber. It's an old movie.
I remember it, but I just was like,
can we not air that live?
I was like, that's not me. I'm not going to that. But
I was
very good, very
Dumb
cool.
and Dumber.
I was too young, I think. I know we're the same. Yeah.
Well, let's not give our age away.
I was going to say The Sopranos myself, but okay, Dumb and Dumber.
Too, but he's Jim Carrey's guy. He's the one. I forgot the name. Oh my god! But everyone knows who he is. He's the one who pops the pills and kills the birdie, the blind bird.
Wow. Okay. Sounds like an interesting scene, but that is very interesting.
Yes.
So the other thing that I found interesting about his character, O'Malley, is that they mentioned at the end when they're pulling up the police report that he is a retired cop. So it goes back to that whole thing where there was, an insider in the job
dirty
with them.
cop.
Yeah. So I found that especially intriguing. All right. So I guess the big thing is this whole scene where Mickey,
Mickey,
poor Daryl is like, don't hurt the poor man, don't hurt him, and Mickey is electrocuting him, and
I'm just so mad because finally Daryl had an opportunity to start a new life. Going back home with your mom and stepdad in Palm Springs, you have a creative executive position waiting for you, annual salary $75K. He even told Bunchy and said, would you take him? Bunchy said, hell yeah. So basically, he's sucked in again. He's part of a murder again. 3 of them, and I really think Daryl's going to go to jail. I have this really weird feeling he can't get out of this one.
And 2 things, we see Detective Peterson, at one point looking at Daryl's file.
Of course.
And seeing no record. And then the other thing is we've yet to see what the fallout is going to be with the call that was made in about Mickey.
Right.
And we did get a little bit with, Sullivan, but separately.
How do we feel about Claudette calling Mickey out? Giving the tip. Claudette. That's not nice. Right?
I get what she's trying to do.
I don't know. I don't know, because I think that it's fair, because I feel like at the end of the day, as much as they say they love Daryl, he's different from them, and he always will be. And I don't think, because even at the point, like I said last week, even at the point when they had Sandy make the calls, Daryl was always included. So it was always like, maybe they'll rescue Daryl, but maybe they won't. They're not going to have the same allegiance to Daryl as they have to each other. So I think that she's, I'm not saying she's right or whatever, but they shouldn't have told her, or he shouldn't have revealed himself to Claudette, because her loyalty has always been to Daryl. So I think that, and now that we see, because I don't think Daryl should have gone back, with his step parents, but he shouldn't have gone with Mickey either.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wanted Mickey's love and attention, and he wanted to be like accepted by Mickey so badly that he would run along with that. I think that's why Claudette, because like I already said, I felt she was foreshadowing anyway, and now as they go deeper and deeper in, because Daryl is the one who went and got the guy out. So Daryl right now is the only one who's actually been seen by people. So it's like Daryl is the one who's probably going to go down or be taken out or whatever's going to happen to him. So I feel like to some extent, Claudette was right to protect her son because he's the one that's going to be at risk, I think.
Just to add on to that, Daryl is the one who has been seen going into the nursing home, getting him out, in the wheelchair. Again, it's Daryl.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's always the one.
It's not fair. I wish he was just a bit more smarter. And he has a new girl he likes, Jasmine.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame.
Yeah. So let's talk about Bunchy a little bit.
Oh my God.
And then we'll maybe Sullivan, and then we'll jump to get, to our segments.
Yeah.
So, all right, Bunchy. I just want to say I feel very badly for him. I actually do feel bad for the mother, too.
They're going to hook up. I can feel it.
I think they are, too.
Hell yeah.
I feel bad for her because... Yes, I understand. Her son went in, and he went in with the intention of robbing a store, but his mother had nothing to do with it, and she still, whatever her son was doing, she still has to deal with the fallout that her son might not ever walk again. Right. So I understand. I feel like, obviously it's very... I love how Bunchy handles this, and I love how supportive he is of her.
I love how first he got, kind of... convinced to go to that weird cult meeting, which was awful, and then he kind of woke up and he's like, what is this, like, what am I in? And he quickly got out of that, and he's like, how can I help this woman needs money, right? So how would he get money? By robbing people, like what he's best at. But then I don't know, first of all, that guy, this is a question, so the son is the one who robbed the store, right?
Yeah, so there were a couple of people.
Okay, but he was the main guy?
He was the main guy who ended up getting shot.
So is he going to go to jail once he wakes up?
So that's the thing, is that usually they'll do an investigation. So it really, it's hard to say. I mean, potentially they would put him on trial. But then there's also the involvement because Bunchy technically shot him. And I've heard stories where if you, like his manager said, the policy of the company is not to get involved. Right. I've heard stories where somebody... was in Bunchy's position, shot somebody who was burglarizing a store, and then they were the one who ended up getting put on trial. So it just depends. So but and it's interesting, not to change subjects too much, but I just saw the movie Parasite, and
I've heard about that.
And when the boy woke up, he had done a crime. Somebody else ended up basically
taking the blame.
Well, somebody else ended up injuring him. He passed out. He was in a coma. They ended up having to do brain surgery. When he woke up, first thing that happened was he was read his Miranda rights. So so most likely he would,
It's just Bunchy's. He feels so bad. He feels so guilty, and he's such a great actor. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But there's some kind of romantic thing going on. Not only is it guilt, but he wants to give something back to this woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
And I hope, I'm actually on their side too, and I hope that they move the boy, because I think what they're saying is that with a better doctor, he might be able to walk again. He just needs better treatment than what he's getting.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the whole thing with the doctor really works out.
Yeah, and if he's going to negotiate the fee or take the cash and all of that.
Okay, one more little thing for us to talk about. The Sullivan family. And Jim Sullivan, we learned that as he was giving away his company and his assets, we essentially learned that he's dying. Yep. So it was kind of two things. He's dying, and he screwed his son Declan, the oldest.
Declan is such a famous actor, and I forgot to Google him right now, but did you guys remember who he is? He's a very famous actor.
I did not recognize him
personally.
You really?
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's another one I think I've seen in some other Italian type
He's a major,
roles
really. If you can just put season, I'm really interested.
Yeah, I'll Google it while we do the news.
Okay,
too,
yeah,
and we
do
can
that.
Pull it up.
But from him we find out that the dad is dying. So and he's not happy with what he's getting. But you're getting annually $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, his deal was pretty good, but it's the idea that he was not like the other two siblings were getting much more than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Molly is taking over everything, all the foundation.
Yeah.
So. Right.
So before we move to the segments, did you guys have any like final thoughts for the episode?
Man. I don't know. I think we covered everything. Bridget.
Yeah.
Smitty.
All right. Well,
We're good.
Then let's go ahead and get to our news segment.
Yay!
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so fun fact, I was doing some research to come across some great news for you guys, and I found out that tonight's episode, An Irish Lullaby, was actually directed by Dash Myhoke, Bunchy.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Which is so cool. I didn't know he wanted to be a director, so this is his directorial debut. He feels very, very connected to this episode. He said how this is an episode where Ray and him really bond, and everyone kind of gets a deep dive into each of their issues and their personalities. So shout out to you, Dash. This was an awesome episode.
Yeah.
It was a deep one.
Yeah, great job.
Seriously.
Great job. Incredible job.
Great job. Great job.
And his name, Declan Sullivan, is played by Keven Corrigan. He's an indie actor.
Yeah, but can you put Keven Corrigan movies? Because we've seen him somewhere, like, really.
Yeah.
I just want to know where he's from.
Yeah, I will pull that up. And also, let's get to our weird crime segment.
Yes.
All right.
Da-da-da, Larry David. Da-da-da-da.
I love this.
My favorite show, Curb Your
Yeah.
Enthusiasm. Oh, season 10's coming out in January.
Cool.
Or 11.
Okay, so brace yourselves for this one because it's pretty crazy. All right, so basically the TLDR of this news article is that this dude killed his grandmother and great-grandmother because, get this, he was tired of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Not a good enough reason.
Yeah, so just to kind of briefly go over what he said here.
crazy.
Yeah, it was just, let's see. Jared Ramos, 22, allegedly told homicide detectives that he killed Barbara Gromley, 59, and Regina Gromley, 90, back on November 5th inside of the family's home in Spring, Texas.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Either Florida or Texas.
The young man
I'm not gonna say
admitted to slaying the two women
Oh,
who had
Lord.
taken him back in July. Ramos has since been charged with capital murder.
I mean, was he on something? Does he say
It
mentally
doesn't
imbalanced
say.
or something? Like,
It doesn't say. I mean, no, it doesn't say anything about
poor
that.
guy.
but-
Why would you ruin your life like that?
Seriously, because he was tired of them.
Yeah. Too much nagging. People don't do it.
Lord.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't end well.
So, real quick, the movies.
Yes.
Keven Corrigan. I have it. It looks like he was in Goodfellas.
See?
Yeah.
Something else, though.
Yeah, let's see. Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah, like mafia, bad boy stuff. I
Kiss
knew
of
it.
Death. Bandwagon. The Pallbearer. He's been in a
He's
lot
a
of
major
stuff.
actor.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
and I'm just
Yeah.
scrolling through. It's still
He's
going.
a great actor.
And then most recently, King of Staten Island, post-production, so it hasn't come out yet.
Cool.
Yeah, so yeah,
Good
he's
for you.
been in
He's
a
been in
lot.
a lot of stuff,
He's a
for
great
sure.
actor.
Yeah. Let's get to our predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Erica, would you like to start?
Okay, sure. Again, I think as I've mentioned before, I do feel like Daryl's time on the show might be limited. I think either he's going to go to prison or he's going to be shot or something. Because I do feel like he's, I feel like he's going down a dark path that Mickey and the other people aren't going to be able to save him from. I do feel like now we're going to come again to another season where it's going to be basically Mickey up against Ray again. So based on the previews and stuff, as Mickey kind of spirals out of control over these gold coins and starts to get more aggressive coming for Sullivan, Ray is also going to probably need to start going for Mickey. So
I mean, first of all, I think Smitty is going to get a divorce because the way it ended, he said, go F yourself to Bridget. Like, I'm done with you. That's for sure. That's going to end. And I really think today's episode, even though it was really about a new journey to start over for Ray and Mickey, they're kind of like they're the same people, same person, just in different paths. Like, Ray's trying to start over, and so is Mickey. But, the Donovan life keeps on holding them back, right? But I have a prediction that all three of them are going to go to therapy together.
Oh.
I feel like Ray is going to take Terry and Mickey for a session.
Oh.
Hopefully, maybe a finale. I don't know. I just feel like something's coming up like that. Something's getting whipped up.
That would be hilarious.
It would be
though.
great.
It would be very funny.
That would be
actually.
great.
Like, I almost feel like that's a parody episode too.
Yeah, I
That
feel like
would
that
be
would be so
amazing.
funny.
Like,
That'd be
where to
hilarious.
start?
Yeah.
Where to even start?
So I'm gonna list my predictions, but first I want to give a shout out to Susan Russo. She's left us a couple of
Susan.
comments in the live
Hi,
chat.
Susan.
She goes, that actor is on Sneaky Pete.
There you
Kevin
go.
Morgan. Yeah, yeah. So
Such a great actor.
Yeah.
Such a great actor.
I think that Smitty is definitely gonna divorce Bridget, like you said. Even if he doesn't, though, my other B-side prediction is that if they stay together, he's never going to be the same way he was with her, and then this is the moment that finally woke him up. We've seen some things in the previews that kind of show that he gets a little more violent, so I feel like this is really what triggers everything, and that he might be more like the Donovans eventually from this. I also feel like this is the moment that turned him into a man.
True.
Yeah. The other thing with Molly, I actually think that Ray will end up with her. It feels like this is season 7. I feel like they will put him with somebody long term again, and I feel like it's going to be Molly. And then with Mickey, and I think with Mickey, I think that Peterson's going to end up discovering he's not dead, and that it might not be so much that it's Ray versus Mickey, but this idea that Mickey needs to take down Sullivan before he gets caught, and that he's alive. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
All very
end
solid
there.
predictions.
Well,
Okey-dokey.
as we wrap up here, Erika, where can everybody find you?
All right, you guys, you can follow me on all of my social media at Erika. That's Erika, D as in door, Edwards.
And Louisa.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Louisa Charmatian.
And I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter at Rachel Goodman or on my author Instagram at Rachel Radner Author. If you are a fan of Man in the High Castle, we're doing the after show next. So,
Before we wrap, Merry
Yeah.
Christmas, Happy New Year, because we're not going to see you guys in 2 weeks.
Right. Merry
2
Christmas,
week
folks.
hiatus, you guys. So Happy New Year 2020. Mwah!
see you January 5th.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.